Hey y'all, this is Cindy. I'm the Tireless Tangler, and you've arrived at day 48 of the 100 Days of Zentangle Project 2020. Thank you all so much for following along this journey with me. It is so fun to have all of you with me. I got involved in Facebook comments, and yes, I know I got on Facebook and spent and lost about 3 hours on there yesterday, which is one of the reasons I try not to get on. So I've been answering comments from you guys on Instagram, at least a few, and some on here. I'm still desperately behind. I am reading your comments, and I thank you so much for them. Okay. So our tangle today is called XLNT. It is by my dear friend Jody Genovese, and she is a CZT. And it is the latest in our series of radial tangles that we are doing in collaboration with the YouTube channel Tangle and Inspire. My friend Aishwarya Darbha, who is a CZT in India. Okay, so today's tangle is XLNT, and this tangle is all about auras, and yet the way you put them together gives you some really cool effects. And I really, really want you guys to go to Tangle Patterns, look this up, and look at Jody's art. She has got so many different ways that you can approach this tangle. Like I said, this is about auras, and it can take whatever shape you want as long as there's a center point. Jody has here's one that I did last night. I did not shade it, but this is the same tangle in the shape of a triangle, with a triangular shape. You can do this with as many of those radiating shapes as you want to, or as few. So it can be whatever you want. And then how you finish out the tile, where you stop with the auras, is a big part of what the result is. Jody had a tile where she continued to aura these, each one, all the way out to the edge of the page, the tile. And that one was so cool when it came to the shading, because it had these little, I don't know if you can tell, but there's these little folds in here, like right here, that sort of come over each other, and the further out you get, the more of those you get. It's very interesting to play with this. Now, because I do really well on those little bijou tiles, because the strokes are short, and that is difficult. The longer ones are where I have trouble with control, but we're going to see how that goes. But first, because so many of you have been sending me messages about doing these and wanting to see how this is done, I am going to prepare an Inktense tile with you today. And you can do this with watercolor pencils or regular watercolors, whatever you have on hand. This will work, with the caveat that keep in mind that the reason that Inktense are something special is because once you activate it with water and let it dry, the ink is permanent, and then I can put wet media on top of it, like with my shading brush. If you use watercolor, that is not the case. And when you use your shading brush, there's every likelihood that it will mix the pigment with the pigment in the paper that you've got from the watercolor, and you may end up with something you don't like. So that is my cautionary note today. So, okay, so let's talk about Inktense. They become permanent ink. You can apply them just like you do with colored pencil, and this is the color Sherbet Lemon, and this is one of the brightest, most exciting colors when activated that I believe they have. The other one that is my very favorite is the Sienna Gold. That just activated, that is just a gorgeous color. And what I'm doing right now is I'm using the side of the pencil, and what I don't want are lines on this, okay? And so I am going to just apply this. Now I'm going to use a different method down here. So I want you to know that right now we're putting dry pencil on a dry tile, and there's no water involved. This is just like if you use watercolor pencils or regular colored pencils. You lay it on the exact same way. Okay, so that is sherbet lemon. And I usually go from light to dark, but you can do as you will. A lot of you have good color sense and know what to do. This is one of my favorite colors. It's apple green. It's a very springy green, a yellowy green, and so it goes really well with the sherbet lemon. And I'm going to put some of this, a good amount, right around the corners here, right on top of the sherbet lemon, so that when I activate this with water, they're going to have a good mix. Okay? And I'm going to go ahead and draw that up in here. And remember, you can put your color wherever you want. And if you want it to be splashed on willy-nilly, we're going to get to that. We're going to get to that. All right? And I'm using lots and lots of pigment. I'm scraping, laying down gently lots of this color on top of the sherbet lemon, which I used plenty of. Okay, we're going to get some really rich results here. Okay, let me zoom in a little bit for you. Now the problem is staying in frame, huh? So you can tell I've applied quite a bit of pressure here. You don't want to go too far with that, which is why I'm not using the tip. So this third pencil, and like I said, my very favorite colors are missing somewhere in a box, and so I'm working with what I have. Vivid green, okay? So this is a more bluish green that is not so yellowy. And I'm going to, it's about to get yellowy though, but it's going to add some depth of color. It's a darker green, so I'm going to, again, put this around the edge, but I'm not going to come in as far with it as I do. Now, again, when I created the Crazy Blossom tile, what I did was I put the light color all the way around the tile, and then I put the darker color in the middle and sort of mixed them together. So you really can handle it however you want, but for the purposes of this demonstration, I wanted to divide the tiles. All right. So I'm putting an even darker layer just along the outer edge here. Now, let's play. Okay. For those who do not know, this is called a water brush or an aqua brush. It is a paintbrush. If I can get the cap off, it is a paintbrush tip. It has water in the handle, and that stops you from having to dip your brush. Now, that doesn't stop you from having to clean your brush, and so for that to be effective, you need something to absorb your pigment, and I just have an old napkin here that I'm going to use. Okay, so keep that really handy. It's going to matter. So when I activate these, I usually, just like I do my gems, I tend to do light to dark. Now, a lot of people do it the other way around. It doesn't matter to me, but I tend to have trouble keeping my lights. So I'm just going to squeeze out a little bit of water onto the tile and stop squeezing then. And I'm going to pick up the wet, and I'm just going to gently stroke it in little circles. And I'm going to be careful in this area not to get any green in here. And isn't this a beautiful color? Isn't this vibrant? That is the thing that ink tint you get with ink tints that you don't really get with other things, is their colors are wow. Okay, now I'm going to clean off my brush, and I'm going to attack this apple green layer, which is right here on the fringe. Now, I have a choice here. I can leave interesting spots, or I can make it completely smooth. That is a personal choice, and you can do what you want. And then I'm going to work in this outer layer. I probably used enough of this vivid green. If you get too much water on your brush, just wipe it off. And you see what a pretty mix this is. And even though I applied this directly to the tile, I'm not getting lines or streaks or anything like that. If you're careful how you lay down your pencil, and if you use plenty of water. Now, about the color fastness. The only time I find that I have trouble with my colors not running, or when you get them wet again, getting activated again, that normally does not happen unless you have spots of pencil that were not completely activated with water. So you want to make sure that you've got all of the pencil that you've laid down activated with water. Otherwise, if you go over it again with something wet, then you may get a color mix on that you weren't expecting. So now I can make this look however I want to, okay? If I want to leave points of interest, I can just dab my brush around. This is standard watercolor stuff. By the way, I don't know a lot about watercolor. I just know how to make it work for me on a tile. Okay, so this is how it's done if you put the pencil directly on the tile. And so the tip for that is to use the side of your pencil in gentle little circles. Okay, and the same is true with your brush, not the side, but just very gentle little circles as you work the pigments into each other. Okay, so this half is how I did that directly on the paper. Now, how do you do it if you do what I generally do with these, which is work off of the tip of the pencil? Okay, so you can do that a couple of ways. You can, and remember, this is a huge one for you. Don't load your brush over your workspace. If you're in a journal, on a tile, whatever you're using, don't do this number over this, okay? What's going to happen is it's going to get little water flicks of color all over your art, all right? If you don't care, then go for it, but that's something that I really have trouble remembering because I like to do it over the tile, okay? I don't know if that's a mom thing or what, but activate your, or load your brush with color from the tip of your pencil over your paper towel or a napkin or whatever you're using. Then once your brush is full of color, okay, you're going to want to squeeze a little bit on your aqua brush and start a little bit of water flowing, okay? And so you're going to go around, get your tile nice and wet, use lots and lots of water, because these Zentangle tiles can take it, and if you're using hot press watercolor paper, same thing, okay? I'm going to get some more, give it a little bit richer. This works. You put the pigment on the paper, or you put the pigment on the brush, squeeze a little water out to get it rolling, all right? If you really want it intense, more color, put it on there. Don't squeeze any water into it and just lay it directly down, okay? But if you're looking for a smooth blend, then that's how you can accomplish that. Now, frequently, I don't like smooth blends. I like to just roll with the punches, see what happens. And I like to have points of interest in my tile. So I'm going to put down my sherbet lemon someplace where it doesn't get my clothes all messy, because permanent ink, right? That includes washing. So don't get your clothes messy. All right, so now I'm going to load up, and clean your brush, you squeeze water and run it against your paper, okay? So there I go again, breaking my own rules. I'm using the apple green again. I'm loading from the tip of the pencil, getting my brush all nice and wet and full of color, pigment, right? And then I'm going to squeeze some of that in here. This is much more intuitive than what we did here, just very methodical. And there, again, there's nothing wrong with that. If that's what you're wanting is a nice smooth blend, then we've got you covered here on the bottom. But what I want up here is a lot of interesting stuff. Okay, so I'm just going to tap in color willy-nilly. For those of you not from the south of the United States, willy-nilly means all over the place, randomly. That's what it means. I don't know what I'm thinking. All right. Remember why I stopped using this brush. It leaks. All right, so if you get, if you get a spot where you've got a ton of water that pools right here, just lift it out with a paper towel. It absorbs right up, and you're good to go. Okay. Now, I put in a little bit of apple green, not a whole lot, so I'm going to do what I told you not to do. Load my brush up over here. I'm just going to tap in just pure color. Little color bloom. You can make it look, you know, however you want to. Go wild. Go crazy. Be you. All right. So that's where I'm going to leave that. I'm going to add a tiny bit of water here. And see, as long as this is still wet, you can shift your pigments, blend them, and all that. Once this dries, you're done. Okay, you can put stuff over it, but you can't change what's there. And you can do that with watercolors. You can get it wet and go over it and do things differently. So I'm going to do the same thing. Again, use this method of loading your paintbrush with caution because you will get little spots all over. Okay. And this tile is still quite wet. You can probably see from the light that it's still quite wet. And so I'm using not as much water from my brush, as I like the look of sort of spreading, that sort of natural, sort of cool look. Okay. So I'm liking that. Now, I'm not saying you can't do a smooth blend this way, just like we did here. You absolutely can. You can use either method. The reason that I like this method is this is the way I do my gems. Is I wet my Inktense gems. I wet down the tile or the area that I'm going to be working at. Okay, first, I put my white Prismacolor down where I want the highlight. Then I add my wet, and then I start dabbing in color all the way around until it looks the way I want it to. And then I finish it off with colored pencil. Okay, so this is where I'm going to leave this. I'm going to let this dry for a few minutes so that I can tangle over it, and we will get busy. See you in a minute. So because I am a very impatient person, I have used the quick dry method of a warm hair dryer, and so that's gonna do it for me. So here we are. All right. Now this doesn't have to be in a standard square. You can make it whatever shape you want. You can slop it on there haphazardly. However you want to do it. It's your art. You get to decide. Okay. Now, let's see if I can find a cap for that. Yeah, close enough. All right, so let's get to our tangle today. This is XLNT by Jody Genovese, and we are going to set this down. Now, as I mentioned earlier, this is very, very, very versatile, and you may approach this any way you want. And I really, again, recommend you check out the pattern art with the step out on tanglepatterns.com. All right. So this starts with a center dot, and I'm going to black mine, except I'm going to put it off center because I'm me. and I can. And then I'm going to put a dot over here, and if you want your dots to be different sizes, you can. If you want them to be the same size, you can. It's entirely up to you. So I think I want to put another one here. There is no number of dots to put on here. You can put as few or as many as you like. I'm going to put mine different places. They can be as close in as you like or as far away as you like. Can't get it wrong. Isn't that awesome? Should have probably made that one further away, but it doesn't matter. Okay, so what do we have here? Oh, just to be fun, I'll make it even 6. Because I am a human at heart and I like my symmetry. Okay, so let's make this one a little bit bigger. And I'll have to finish these off with my gel pen, I think. Okay, so you got a bunch of little dots. Now what do? Well, we do that same S stroke, cadence stroke, that we've been doing over and over, okay? We're gonna start at one of the dots outside and we're going to cadence stroke into the center, all right? So just like yesterday and the day before and probably in the day before that. I'm gonna make that cadence stroke from dot to dot, okay? Easy enough, right? So we're going to go ahead and we're going to go around and we're going to do that S stroke from dot to dot, okay? So many of our tangles have started this way. And it's just a good example of how you can use the same strokes to get different results. And you'll be surprised how different this one is compared to the other ones we've done. So this is exactly the way we started yesterday, isn't it? Except we didn't really use dots yesterday. But the same thing. It's the same exact thing. Okay? So now, what do? Well, we're going to aura, and we're going to aura a lot. So watch with me. On the very first one, that's the only one you have to pay any attention to, okay? So we're going to aura this. And a tip for those of you who are like me who shake, if you need to lift your pen, lift it up, and when you put it back down, put it a little bit of a gap from the last one, okay? It adds visual interest, but it does not give you the overlapping problem that I tend to have, okay? And if you want to, you can put a little dot in there, but still, it works really well, okay? So, you want to stop somewhere around this area, okay? Just on this one. The rest of them, you're going to aura all the way around. But on this one, on the first one, you're going to stop. And at this point, you need to decide how many of these auras you want to do. And we're going to stop before we get there. Okay? I was just about to change my stroke. And I know better than to do that. Okay? So that's 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's stay with 4. Okay? If we want to do one down here differently, we can. Jody says 3 or 4 end up with a nice effect, but more is cool too, and there are lots of different ways to do it. So now on this one, we're going to aura all the way around and down here. Okay? Breathe. Take your time. Take your time. Pretty aura lines take time. Okay? By the way, can you tell I found a new pen? It is nice and juicy. I do like that. Try to get the width of your lines as consistent as possible, unlike this example here. I just did it that way so you guys could see what I meant not to do. That's my story and I'm sticking to it. All right, come on, Cindy. No, we're gonna have to live with it. I'll leave my little gap there. Is this the fourth one? This is the fourth one, so this is our last one. Okay. And there we have the first step. And now we're going to continue this and do the same thing all the way around. Ooh, look at me go. Even with the wiggles, these are pretty good R lines. This is a great tangle to practice auras, because that is all we're going to do from here on. We are just aura-ing. That's 3, so I need 1 more. The only thing you really have to do is keep track of how many auras you're putting in, and you don't even have to do that. If you want to just, go crazy and have a few here and more there, you can do that too. This is a pleasing number, so I'm going to go for it. And again, I'm trying to keep this width the same as all of these. This is one of the things that I really practice and need to a lot because of my inconsistency. So I'm hoping that trying to focus on keeping my strokes out. And see, I shouldn't have changed it there, huh? Try to do each stroke the same as you did the last. And this is not easy. This is not easy. Consistent lines in auras are difficult. So if you can't get it right off, don't feel bad. It's not easy. And, by the time we get done, you may be feeling bad for me. But don't, because I won't be feeling bad for me. I'll be going, yeah, this turned out all right. Okay. So guys, I am doing a 30-day creator challenge for my YouTube channel, in that I'm working with a YouTube consultant that helps channels to learn how to grow. And so I will be probably making some changes to these videos as I go, but I will probably also remake 1 or 2 of my old ones just as we experiment along. So if you see something like that come out, don't freak out or anything. It's just me. One of our assignments is to republish an old video, but do it better, basically. I have a lot of those that I could do. So, yeah. Just wanted you to know, the one I may make over is the Celtic Huggins one, the one that taught the pattern, the one that taught the setup on the Opus tile that we used for our 100 Days of Zentangle project in 2019, last year. And I may redo that. I was even thinking about redoing the first one we did on this one. I need to calm down with all of that, but okay. So we're all the way around here. I'll leave that for later. And this is the reason we stopped, is because we want to be able to tuck these lines down on this the same way that the rest of them are tucked. Okay, that's the only reason we did that. And I did 4, so it should be right. Except I need to go the other way, don't I? Did I do 4? Oh well, close enough. All right, so this is basically the tangle that we're doing today. Now, I want to take this further, okay? I want to show you some of the other ways that this can be done. So I want to pick one of her versions. I think I'll do the triangular version here and see what you guys think of that. It starts the same way. And again, you can have as many or as few. Well, that wasn't really the way I wanted to start. Okay, well, let's just put one up here. You can have as many or as few of these as you like. So S shape or S stroke. S stroke. Okay. Oh, I need 3 of these, don't I? And we'll put another one over here. Just play with adding these and see what you end up with. I don't know. So I'm gonna make this one my stop one. And yes, I noticed what I just did. Change the direction of my pen. Okay, this is 2. That's 3. That's where I got into trouble. 4 auras, not 4 lines. Okay, so again, we're going to do the same thing here. Don't know how this is going to end up, but we're going to find out. Let's go for it. This will be a learning experience for all. And I'm just purposefully leaving a little sparkle on the top of that. You don't have to. And I think if I had set up my dots better, I would have had a better result on this for sure. Let's go ahead and finish it out. Okay. But this is the kind of thing that you can do, all right? And I should have set my dots up in a different way, but still, it worked. So now what I want to do is I want to go back over here, and I'm going to do another run of auras, okay? So I'm just going to start with one. I think I only have room for 2, so let's do 2. And this is going to start another row of folds here. Okay, that's 1. And see if I can manage to get these lines even as far as consistent with width. This would be a very cool effect, and I think it'll still be cool. Alright, I'm going to keep going. Well, we almost had it. Well, we'll do the best we can. Don't worry about anything, just keep auraing. Just match the number of strokes for each one, or don't. That's 1. Well, okay, and this is the last one, so we're going to have to start up here, and that's fine. Coming around that curve is tough. Okay, now I can at this point go around and make more of these auras and fill in more of my space. And I think instead of doing that, I am going to start playing with this in a slightly different way. So I'm going to start putting in these little, like it's coming from here, but from the other direction. I'm going to aura them. They'll be lucky if they don't get a little hat-like sprinkle. I make no promises. I almost had it too, didn't I? And now, at this point, I can continue this aura further. Now, what I'm going to do is put another one of these right here. And I'm going to aura this. And aura it again. Need that. Bring this over here. Bring this over here. Now, this whole adding elements thing as you go with the auras can be a little mind-boggling, so if this confuses you, don't do it. Just stick with your original pattern. It will work out for you. And this is truly aura play. Just go where your lines lead you. Do what you want to do. See what happens. Enjoy this. Enjoy the journey. Okay, so I've got 2 to hook up there. So I need 1 here. What I'm doing is just adding elements, putting 2 auras around them. I'm not closing the last aura down. Then I'm going back to the element before, and I'm continuing this aura. Here. And then adding another one here. Okay. So let's skip over here. Aura twice. Leave my last aura line open. Go back to the one before. Finish that up. Then I've got 1 more coming over here. This is how I'm going to do it. I'm working back and forth with these aura lines, trying to keep my place clear to myself. And this is, there's definitely a little bit of thinking going on here, but trust me, it's not too much. We're going to be fine. Okay, 2 auras. Oops, shouldn't have closed that down, should I? Now I'm going to finish this one. And finish this one. Okay, now I'm almost back around, so pretend like I didn't do that in that way, but I don't think anybody's going to care, and I know in the end of the day, I don't care either. Just my perfectionist needing to have a voice today. She needs to be quiet, because we are not doing perfect. We are doing art. We are doing fun. We are doing relaxing. There's no perfection in there at all. And let's keep it that way. All right. So I am going to finish this off over here. Oh, I like how this turned out. I like that it is sort of all over the place. I like that I went outside the color. I want to do something about this poor sad element down here on the side. So I'm trying to decide what I could do. Well, I had 1 more there, didn't I? All right. Well, I had 2 more there. Well, I didn't finish any of these. What? I got some work to do, don't I? I don't know what I was thinking. No wonder I'm confused. This is why you don't think when you do Zentangle art, you just do it. Every stroke of the pen, no thinking. And this is why, guys, that this is Zentangle inspired art. It's because it's got too much thinking in it. You know, the reason that Zentangle preaches about every stroke of the pen, one stroke at a time, anything is possible, one stroke at a time, is because it's true, it is. But you've got to remember that everything that you do that brings decision making into your art is counterproductive to the Zen part, if you will. Now, a lot of people swear by Zia Creations, and I clearly am one of those people. I love working with Zentangle inspired art. That is my favorite thing. You know what? I'm just going to put a dot over here. I'm going to connect it the same way. I'm going to aura it a couple of times. Put it right on there and see what happens. Well, that just turned into a Muka 3D as a pattern that any Oken has, which is very cool, by the way. But I don't know that there is a published step out for that, so I am not going to teach that because she has a lesson on it. All right. So I'm just going to make this really busy over here until we get something that looks a little bit more fun. Although that just looks squished. Maybe put something... I don't know. This turned out so nicely. This is kind of clunky over here. So, okay, this is a good example of, so what do you do when you don't like something? Well, let's look at it. What could we do to make this look a little bit more presentable? How about we put it that way? So I started out by adding an element over here, so that's okay. What we really need is to pretend like there's a third element over here. There, that actually helped. Just those few lines actually helped. What else can we do to sort of blend this into the pattern? What if we do some aura-ing and sort of connect the two? Since this pattern is all about aura practice, let's just aura ourselves right over there. And let's aura the rest of this. And this. Sometimes if you make things busier, it just works out better. You get lost in translation. And this is great practice. You know, so you get an area that you don't like. What do? How do you mesh it? Keep going. Okay. All right. So I like this a lot. Zoom out. And so now what I want to do is take some colored pencils to do shading. Now you can use a graphite pencil, you know, and we may put that over what we're doing because that will be used to good effect. However, I like to color or to shade with colored pencil. And I'm going to grab a Prismacolor or two. Let's see. This is Canary Yellow, my very favorite yellow. It's a very creamy yellow. And then I don't need any light ones, any dark. I want my peacock green. Haha! I know what that looks like. And maybe it's a spring green. Spring green or apple green? What is it? Spring green. Well, I'm good at telling these colors. Okay, so what I have here are Prismacolors in a light yellow, a canary yellow, peacock green, that's this one, and spring green. These are the tip colors, okay? You can tell I use this canary a lot. So I don't know that I will use the canary. I may use it at the end to sort of brighten some of these spots. Might use it over here, but let's find out. Let's start with the peacock green, okay? Make sure your pencil's nice and sharp. And I can get out my polychromos. I just am really comfortable and know these Prismacolors really well. And I don't have the color selection in polychromos that I do with the Prismacolors. I would love to have a full set of polychromos so that I could really get to know the pencils. But I feel at a real disadvantage with just having the 36 set. So, but at least I have some, so I should not complain. So what I'm doing is, again, I'm attacking any place where the lines are coming together, crossing each other perpendicularly, if that's a word. And so right here, you've got lines coming at cross purpose together. And here. And it's these little folds that you will find as you go along that make this pattern so cool. So just darken each of those areas just a little bit. We're going to work on, do I want to go this dark over here? Yeah, probably. So we'll be blending all of this out. And hopefully Cindy won't make a big mess because that happens sometimes. Okay, let's see, put this in here. Just anywhere these lines come across each other in a sort of a T shape. Those are the ones you want to get. Anything that looks like it's behind something else, that's where you want to shade. And you always want to shade on the side that looks like it's behind something else. That's where you want the shadow. That will enhance the feeling of dropping back. And I'm doing a pretty crude job here, because I know I'm going to get what I want when I get my blending solution out. Usually I do. This is a process that takes time. You should, whatever brand of pencil you use, you should take time and get to know it. Use the different colors. Find out how they respond to the different blending techniques. Figure out your favorite colors and the ones that you like to use the most. You know, all of those things can make Zia creation much quicker and more enjoyable if you have those sorts of things already in mind. Then you know just what colors you want to use. I always use, for example, with my greens, I always use a peacock. It's a nice rich green that has some blue undertones, so it makes a great shading pencil for green Zia creations. All right, so the other place I want a little bit of a shadow is going to be right here on the underside of each one of these. And I really can't decide if I want that to come down or if it should come both ways. We'll see. We'll see. We'll see what they do in editing. Okay. I'm going to keep this one on the underside here, right here. Just let the rest of this go. You live and learn with these things. Sometimes you try things out, one thing works, something else doesn't. It's the way of the world. Gotta be open-minded to change. I have a new kind of pencil that I'm lusting after now. It's called Carand. It comes out of Geneva, Switzerland. I am dying to try it. They are supposed to be so soft and buttery and nice to shade with, and so I'm pretty stoked to try that out. All right. Do I have all the undersides? No, I do not. I'm over here jerking. Making it interesting for myself. Just really hit any points you see where there's overlapping quality. That's what you want to do. Yeah, I think I like it on the underside of the curve there, not going down the side. So now, as I'm finished with finishing up, now I've decided that. Thank you guys so much for your comments. I love them. I have so much fun reading those. You just don't know, because I don't answer and tell you. That's why. I'm a bad girl. Okay, it's blending time. So I have my odorless mineral solution stuff. My brand is Gamsol, but this is a US brand. Anything that says odorless mineral spirits or solution is good. And for this to work, I need an appropriate tortillon. And for this particular project, I don't want one that is too wide. So I want to be sort of targeting here. So let me use this one and clean it up a little bit. Remember, if you have tortillons that are dirty and you want to use them for color, just scrape them on a nail file. They're pretty cheap. Have a damp towel, just wipe them off, the emery board off, and you're good to go. Okay, so I don't think I've got any more color on this, so let's use it. And once you've activated the pigment by dissolving the wax, it's such a pretty color in here. And shading this way works every bit as well as using a graphite pencil. And it doesn't, dull out your colors, which is something I hate because I work so hard to get them vibrant. So I have shaded with color for a long time. We just want to blend them up so they look like they're blended. Natural to the situation, whatever. This is why I love the peacock green. It goes with yellow too. It's really a great one for shading. Now, it may be that when I am done with the blending, I feel like that's overwhelming and I want to tone it down, and so I will bring in my spring green or my yellow and sort of give that a little bit more love. Okay. I closed the lid. Whoever is worrying about me breathing that stuff, you're right. I should be more cautious with that. Who knows? Maybe that's what's wrong with my brain lately. But you're right. I should not be breathing that stuff in. The fact that it's odorless does not mean you don't have anything that you're breathing in, and you can smell a little bit. It's just not bad. So maybe holding it in my hand under my mouth is probably not the best plan for me. And thank you for pointing that out. Now, if you come to a place where you feel like your tortillon is no longer spreading your pigment, then just dip it in your solution again, get it wet again, and you'll be able to continue. All right, let's work over here. Now these I may definitely put some spring green on because this part was not as yellowy as the other, but then again, maybe that's a good thing. Maybe that's going to be a dark side element here, or we'll see. We'll blend it out and we'll see where we're at. Oh, Simba's up. Are you up for the day, buddy? It's 4 o'clock in the afternoon. What are you doing? So I was just wondering when dinner was coming. Afraid we're going to have to eat here, buddy. All right. So I really like this. I really like it. Let me use my spring green just a little bit here and there. Just give a little bit of color here. Hi, Simba. Thinking about the kid. He'll be back. Don't worry. It's going to be okay. And I'm just adding a hint of color to these elements that went outside of my sort of inked border. Now, if I had been more whimsical when I put that on there and not paid any attention to squares or anything, then I'd have a different situation. So I think I am going to brighten this up just a little bit. It's my spring green. That's a yellowy green. Probably said that already, didn't I? There. All right, let's blend that part out too. See what we've got left on the stump, or on the tortillon. A little bit. Okay, so I think the last thing, I'm going to do is take my canary yellow and I'm going to just run it over here a couple of places to just sort of brighten up the color just a little bit. This is something you can always do as part of your Zentangle inspired art. Just add color. Go for it. This is one of my favorite things, is using tangling, mixing tangling and color. It's one of my favorite things. All right. So I usually work from light to dark, but in shading I tend to do it the other way around, clearly. And really, when you are working a tile like this, you go back and forth. I mean, you don't really do it all the time in the same order. Sometimes, you gotta pull something back out, do something different. Okay, so having trouble seeing this. The light glares off my glasses. So I really like where I'm at right now. So what I want to do is add some highlights with a gel pen. And this is my Jelly Roll 10, which I highly recommend if you're going to be working with colored pencils. It has a really good ink flow, and it can be really nice to use. So I'm just going to put a little dot of light in each one of these. And if I get a little too much, I can fix that with my pen. I'll just try to be careful. Put a tiny dot on each one. This makes a huge difference to your end product. These little hints of light make a big difference. They draw the eye. See, I think I got them all. Okay. And I think I'm going to leave it there for now. I may go in with my pencil and add a little bit more shading to the little crevices and things, but I've got a pretty good start going on that, and I think I'm comfortable leaving it here. So I hope you guys have enjoyed this probably very long video with the complete Zia tile creation in it. And I hope it gave you some ideas for things that you can use in your own art. So this is XLNT, and it is by Jody Genovese, the wonderful Jody Genovese. And I am going to see you guys tomorrow for day 49. Holy cow, what am I going to do after this is over? I already miss you guys. Don't go. Don't go. All right, this is what we got today. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'm going to see you tomorrow.